Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to North Shore Live Cooper's Corner. We are live this evening. This is June the 7th, 2017, and I would just like to start out by saying that we do invite you to join us on our YouTube and take a look at the programs that we have completed. And this program will be on YouTube as well this evening. So please avail yourself to the availability, if you have a computer, to check on YouTube for North Shore Live Cooper's Corner. So that out of the way, the day was beautiful. I hope you enjoyed it. I was out briefly looking at plants and more flowers and shrubs for the garden. Too many to choose from, so I'm going back tomorrow. Beautiful flowers. Anyway, I would just like to let you know that this evening's program is regarding Highland Park and the North Shore Boy Scouts of America. And while looking through the Chicago Tribune, I came across a front page article regarding a gentleman who is 98 years old, and he says he had a good life, and he gives away $2 million. He owes it to $1,000 that he spent on shares for Walgreens many, many years ago, and he donates it to the Audubon Society for Wildlife Sanctuary 70 years ago. He bought it 70 years ago. It's the front page, and it continues on page 14. There we go. Let me just hold it up. Chicagoan donates $2 million. The gentleman never married. He has no children, no family, and he said he would prefer to give his gift while he is still alive. He's 98 years old, so that he can see it used to the best of its ability to protect wildlife. And I think there's a few other things, but the majority of the $2 million went to the Audubon Society. He lives in the same house that he's been living in since the age of 3 or 4 years old, and I imagine the neighborhood has changed, but he has not. And he's a wonderful gentleman. He's entitled to have a name, and we're going to give him a name. His name is Russ Grimmel, 98. He served in World War II. Sits Thursday on the porch of the Jefferson Park brick bungalow that he has lived in for nearly 95 years. Congratulations to you, Mr. Grimmel. And he was Army lieutenant during World War II. The Korean War, he served in Washington, D.C., where there was 10 women for every man, he said, laughing, his light blue eyes sparkling. He graduated from Northwestern University Law School between wars and went on to practice what he calls Abraham Lincoln law, a hodgepodge of everything. So he retired at the age of 45, so evidently he was not in need of the finances. But the best part I want to let you know, this young gentleman, was a Boy Scout, a Boy Scout leader, outstanding. Just and it's a 400-acre wildlife refuge near Dixon that he has dedicated to receive his gift. Let's see. I'm trying to locate this quickly. What Boy Scout Grimmel's retirement has lasted much longer than he anticipated, but has filled his time by mentoring scouts, hiking, watching baseball games, and reading. He read War and Peace 3 times. If you're aware of War and Peace, the book is a little thick. but he read it 3 times. Somebody should donate a library of new things for him. So anyway, I brought this up specifically because this gentleman was a Boy Scout leader, and very involved with the Boy Scouts, and so that's what I wanted to tell you. But anyway, because our guests this evening are Stephanie Brooks and John Rippick. What's it, John?
Ropiquet? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, let me get. Stephanie is marketing and alumni director for the Boy Scouts, and John, 324, and he's the committee secretary. 324. How long have you been with that?
Off and on since 1957, although the first year it was Cub Scout Pack 324.
How did that change?
Before I became a Boy Scout.
Oh.
So I've had a 60-year history all in the same room at the Highland Park Presbyterian Church.
Oh my goodness sakes.
Not continuous.
That's all right. The same room. At least have you got a window?
They're way up towards the ground level, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, you have a window. You got some light coming in.
Yeah.
God sees you. You better do good. You better
Yes,
do right.
well, we try.
Oh, well, I hope so. Okay. Anyway, welcome to the program, Stephanie.
Thank you so much.
Stephanie, you little sweetheart. And John.
Thank you.
Stephanie and I know each other for 100 years. So anyway, how should we get started on this, John? How do you want to do this?
Well, you wanted to know about the history of Boy Scouts
Yes.
in Highland Park,
Yes.
first of all.
Yes.
And I think the way I should get into that is what I've been doing for the past 2-3 years. Our local council, which covers most of Lake County and then New Trier, Northfield, and Evanston Townships in Cook County, formed a history committee, because we do have quite a history, actually, and nobody had ever really collected the information. So some of the guys that had been around for a while got together and said, we should have a history committee and start collecting information. Well, one thing led to another, and one of them actually led to me, because they said, hey, why don't you join the committee? Well, if I have a fault, it's that it's really hard to say no to something.
Or
I try, but it doesn't work.
You don't know what those letters N-O spell?
I'm not New Orleans. I'm not sure exactly. I actually saw Stephanie in New Orleans not too
Yeah,
long
speaking
ago.
of New Orleans, we ran into
N-O-N.
each other in our hotel.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
But everybody knows Stephanie. You just keep.
Who doesn't know Stephanie?
Well, if you don't know Stephanie, you should get to know her.
Yes, you haven't lived till you know
Okay.
Stephanie.
Anyway.
Right. Tell my family
I
that.
digress.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So I was invited to join the history committee, and
Yeah.
they had pulled together a lot of information. One of the guys who was retired had spent time going to the libraries in Libertyville and Waukegan to see what did they have. Well, they had apparently some indexed information. Well, some years ago, I'd been to the Highland Park Library, and
Yeah.
they have an index of the information they've got on microfilm, and I just was looking through, do they have anything on Scouts? Well, they had one thing in 1931. One thing.
Wow.
And I looked it up. It's on microfilm. I found it, and it was a lot. It was like an 8-page section of the Highland Park paper.
But 1931.
1931.
And they didn't progress from
Well,
1931?
except that there's a few mentions in the index after that. But when I came back to it, I said, I bet there's more there than they put in the index. So I started looking where the microfilm starts, which is 1912. 1912. Middle of the year, I found a couple of news items about Boy Scouts. 30 Highland Park Boy Scouts went from Highland Park out to Long Lake, which is near Fox Lake, and they set up a 2-week summer camp in August 1912.
Wow.
They had an article when they went out. They had an article when they came back. Well, I kept going. There was very little after that. I went through 1914, and it was just nothing. So I said, that's weird. I jumped ahead to 1925, and all of a sudden, there's something every week in the Highland Park Press. Now, what I did, because the library is set up to do this, I got myself a flash drive. Actually, I have two of them. And I started putting images, whole newspaper pages, and these are full-size newspaper pages, because what I found was every week, starting in about 1927, they had a whole page or more about Scouts. They published everything, everybody's name, everything that they were doing.
Terrific.
And then I got to 1929, and I found there was 3 months that were missing. So I went a couple years more, and it came to a stopping place. And I thought to myself, well, I wonder if the Wilmette paper has that stuff, because it looks like something that was, sent to all of the local papers. I went to the Wilmette paper. It's online, so I don't have to go to the Wilmette library.
Oh.
And I found they start in 1912. They go all the way through.
Forward.
And there was even more stuff. So what I have done in these two flash drives, after that I went to the Glencoe paper. I went to the Libertyville paper, which is also online. I have 2,500 newspaper articles.
Oh, how terrific.
Between 1911 and 1931.
Oh, how terrific.
Well, of course, that's a lot of information, and it's full pages
Sure.
in each image. So the next step was, what do I do with all of this stuff? Because, I'm reading all of this stuff. I'm doing an index so I can, what's
It's a lot
on
of
each one.
information.
Well, except
How do you disseminate that?
well, that's step 3.
Oh,
Step 2
sorry.
was I put together summaries of everything that's on these newspaper articles.
Wow.
Ended up with about 180 pages, so that I could figure out what have I got to work with and how do I find it again
Sure.
in a searchable form. So I can do a computer search on this and find stuff. And then, step 3,
Disseminate.
I started writing articles.
Isn't that incredible?
So I have, at this point, 6 articles, and I've got 2 more planned. And it's about 110 pages. A lot of pictures from the old newspapers. Here's one from 1931. This is a group called the Order of the Arrow. They went over to General Robert Wood's house to thank him,
How nice.
the whole group of them, for all the work he'd done to get Scouts organized in the North Shore area. His house is now the North Shore Senior Center. He moved from Highland Park to Lake Forest about 1948.
Lake Forest.
And my dad knew the guy in charge of the local phone company. We got his number. We got number 6 when General Wood moved to Lake Forest. So I'm looking at things like this. That's my Scoutmaster. Now this fellow in Chicago, the thing that impressed me was he was a Scoutmaster for 60 years. Harry Skidmore, my Scoutmaster, was our Scoutmaster for 48 years.
Wow.
I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And even more incredible, his wife, Helen, was the wife of a Scoutmaster for that period of time. And they stayed married.
It's amazing.
Now, Stephanie, you know a lot of Scoutmasters. How many of them have been around that long?
Not many. There are a handful, and it's funny, the ones that did stick around that long are still very involved.
Sure.
They are Scouts until they go up to, I guess, Scout Heaven and get back together with each other and build campfires.
One would hope, yeah.
Yeah.
So
They sing
it's
songs.
something that
They do.
is really absorbing. I found this fascinating because I found things like when my Scoutmaster went to our summer camp the week it opened in 1929. I found out about his Scoutmaster, who just happened to be the publisher of the Highland Park Press.
Oh,
I mean, I'm finding all of this stuff out. I know some of these people. There was one guy, who got his Eagle Scout badge in 1933, along with his older brother and his father, because back then adults could become Eagle Scouts too. All three of them got it at Lincoln School at the same time, and I've got a front page photo of that from the Highland Park Press. That guy was my life-saving merit badge instructor in 1961 at the Highland Park pool, the high school pool. So there's all of these connections, and what I've done is to try to pull it together and then disseminate the articles to anybody who would dare to give me their email address.
I want to ask a question. Is there any plaque to give respects to the three scout leaders out of Lincoln School, you said?
I don't think so, although actually I've never set foot in Lincoln School proper. I have been in the gym for a Cub Scout event years ago, but I've never actually been in Lincoln School. There could be, but I don't know. I know Ravinia School had a plaque for its troop back when my son was in school. I saw that.
I mean, these are very momentous occasions, and it should be memorialized by something like that. John, if it were not for you to go searching through, no one would know. I mean, no one would know.
Well, that's true, because it's been sitting on microfilm.
See?
And before that, it was sitting on the shelf in the library before there was microfilm. But someone has to go back and look at it and spread the word. That's what our history committee is attempting to do. So I brought a bunch of pictures that we put together in an exhibit.
Okay.
And I don't know if you can pick them up over there.
We will.
Okay.
Okay. What picture will we be looking at?
If you look at the center panel.
Center panel.
Okay. Okay, do we have that? Yeah. If
Yeah,
you could focus in a little bit.
Sure, he's going to do that.
You can see some of the old newspaper covers.
Oh,
These
look at
are
that.
from Wilmette and Glencoe, but like this one right here from the Wilmette Life, that was on each of the local papers' covers at some point.
That was the...
And that is from 1931. There's a fellow from Glencoe who's a really good photographer who took some great pictures up at our summer camp.
Wow.
And this one was on the cover of the local papers. And that became a famous postcard, actually.
Really?
When I went up to our summer camp office on the west side of the lake last summer, somebody had a copy of that picture tacked up. But he took more. If you go to the right,
Yeah, there
for
you go.
example,
There's...
this is when our council, our North Shore Area Council, was founded in November 1926. It was a big deal. It was front page news in the local papers.
Wow.
And then if you go down a little bit, in 1930,
Look at that.
Cub Scouts got started, all right? That was a big deal. One of the things I've found is that the official start to that program was in 1930, but our North Shore communities had Cub Scouts before there were Cub Scouts. It's very sketchy because you see mentions of things like church bulletins, let's say, mention that, oh, we're having the Junior Scouts meeting on this night and the Boy Scouts meet on that night, and you have to put two and two together to say what was going on back then. So I found out all of these things. Let's go to the one just to the left of that.
There we go.
Okay, yeah, and this is in Evanston, which had a separate council for many years until 1969, and then it merged with us. This is from their summer camp. They had one over in Michigan.
Wow.
And then if we go to the right, that's Evanston. Oh,
No,
let's
we're the other way.
other way.
There we go.
Okay, and a little bit farther
bit
to the
more.
other
There you
panel.
go.
There we go. Now, yeah, right down. That might be hard to see. I have that picture in here. This was a copy that was made from our original. A lot of memories in here. Oh, here's one. Okay. This is one of my favorites. Now, here's a young fellow. Can you see this one? Okay. Here's a young fellow getting his Eagle Scout award in the basement of our church, and my mom and dad are awarding it to me.
How proud.
Okay?
Young fellow.
Yeah. And this is the shirt that I got after that, because back in those days, as you got older, the sleeves shrank somehow.
Yeah,
okay?
because you were growing, John.
And eventually you would get a new shirt. And this is the one I think I got about 1964.
You're a keeper. I'm a keeper, too. I have
My
things.
mother helped me. She kept
I
it
have
hung
stuff.
up someplace until I was able to take it for myself.
Sakes.
And then, another favorite picture. Here. There we go.
It's so good that you have the pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, our scoutmaster, Harry Skidmore, helped with this because he kept a lot of things in our
Look at
church
that.
basement. After our troop was disbanded in 1993, they were still there when we came back in 1998. Here are all of the brothers in the troop in 1964. And this is, that shirt was what I was wearing then.
Look at that.
And then when I really want to impress my friends, I put it on.
You still fit that? No.
I do. I wear it. Not often, because then it has to be washed and ironed.
Oh,
Okay?
jeez, John.
But fortunately, my mom didn't keep the pants.
Oh,
You know, that would have been a problem.
I don't think I can. That's
You know, back then, I got a leather scout belt, which I still have, in 1960. It's a 28-inch belt.
Suck it in.
It's been a long time since I could wear that.
Oh, it's a long time since I could do that.
So,
After
you know, I mean,
7
times
kids, 28
change.
inches? Forget it. I used to be a size 18, but 18 inches, but
Yeah. So
Doesn't matter.
you know, there's a lot of memories that all of this work that I've done has brought back. Now, you know, Stephanie has worked very hard on images. You know, that if there's anything Stephanie knows about, it's images, right?
images.
Well, I've worked with a lot of them, and he has no end of images or patches or
Well,
neckerchiefs, and
that-
it's wonderful.
John, let me just ask,
Yeah.
how many patches were required to fly up to Eagle Scout? Or
At that time, and still, it's 21 merit badges.
21 merit?
Some of them are required. The ones that were required back in 1961 are pretty much the same ones that are required today, because they cover some very basic things. Citizenship, for example.
Oh, yes. That's a
That's
big
really
thing.
important.
Yes, very important.
First aid,
Yes,
swimming,
yeah.
Cooking.
cooking, yep,
Cooking.
camping, family life, personal management, all of those things are required badges that have been required in some form or other, actually, since I was a scout. And, you know, that is part of the program that's been built up over the years. We want our scouts to learn all sorts of things that they should know.
In life.
Well, yeah. What I think of is, what am I doing? I'm trying to build better adults.
Sure. I was den mother, but a Girl Scout leader. And when you mentioned those badges, I remember from being a brownie and then a Girl Scout myself, you know, my sash and all the things that
You sewed them on yourself,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, we tell our scouts that
Yeah,
they should do that.
They
but
didn't
somehow
have
it doesn't-
iron-on.
It doesn't
stuff then.
happen.
No, didn't have iron-on. I had to wait to collect a lot of them before I had to sit down. It wasn't exactly too straight, but you know, I
Yeah.
was just a kid.
Yeah.
So, but it was really very important. I felt both my brothers were in the service at the time, and so I was raised like an only child. I was the youngest, and so that was what I enjoyed doing. And we met too, also in the basement of the local church. They didn't have anywhere else for the kids to meet,
Sure.
and so that's where we met on Tuesday evenings.
Yeah. Well, the Boy Scouts is run somewhat differently from the Girl Scouts, because right from the start, they've relied on local community organizations to sponsor the individual units. I think the Girl Scouts is set up differently, but I'm not familiar. Maybe Stephanie knows
Yeah,
a little bit about it.
I do. I was a third generation Girl Scout leader at one point. My grandmother was a Girl Scout leader because they said that there was no more room in the troop, and if she wanted my mother to be in it, then she was going to be a leader as well.
Okay.
Well,
She
it's
became a leader.
polite
But,
black,
yes,
you know,
yes.
but it worked, right?
We didn't
I love it.
exactly, but we didn't really have chartered organizations.
No.
I know, like my troop met at our school, and then we moved to like the basement of the American Bank, which has now become 5 different banks.
Oh.
But it's very, and I love the chartered organization concept. It's wonderful. We've got partners who we've had for over 100 years now. And
Wow.
that's really exciting. Most
That's
of them are
terrific.
Yep, a lot of religious organizations, American Legions. There are other Kiwanis, other groups that partner with us, and
terrific.
they're really a parent agency that makes sure that they have a place to meet and that somebody is taking responsibility for ensuring that they are paying attention to their insurance needs or anything that needs to be managed. It's just another kind of a buffer
Yeah.
to make sure that somebody is there helping them and guiding them. And it's that partnership is a wonderful thing. And to go to a troop birthday that's, a 90-year troop birthday or something, and
Wow.
to see them have that in their chartered organization is a wonderful thing.
Well, that reminds me.
You've got
Again,
patches.
This is going to happen. Throughout this program, you're going to remind me of something.
I know.
And I'm going to go on and on with it. But
I shall.
I just
Better
happened,
you than me.
Well, I just happened to bring a couple of patches.
It just happened.
Just
Okay.
happened. Now, I need to
Happens,
face in the right direction. What we did, as I mentioned, the troop disbanded in 1993. Back then, it was the last Boy Scout troop in Highland Park. That was it. There were some Cub Scouts, but no Boy Scout troops. I was a Cub Scout leader, believe it or not.
I can believe anything, John.
Okay.
And a den mother.
And
That was
And a
my-
den
no,
mother.
that was 1963,
That's right.
mind you.
Don't confuse the viewers.
No,
Okay.
no, no. I became an assistant Cub Master, the hardest position there is to fill, in 1995 when my son Josh joined Cub Scouts in 2nd grade. Well, a couple of years later, an opportunity developed to start up a Boy Scout troop.
Well, that's good.
And what happened was our local district director got a bunch of people in a room, and it was from my pack, which then met at the Highland Park Presbyterian Church. Now it meets at Brayside School. Another pack that met at Wayne Thomas School,
Wayne Thomas.
and another pack, and a scout leader from Deerfield. And he said, we've got a lot of Cub Scouts coming up. We need a Boy Scout troop in Highland Park. It's time. Well, somehow, and I don't know how it happened, but I ended up as the chairman of the committee.
Wow.
Can you believe that,
I
Stephanie?
do
Stunned.
indeed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Stunned.
So, he had lined up 3 organizations as potential sponsors, one of which was the Presbyterian Church. And the consensus was they're the ones that we should affiliate with.
Okay.
So Troop 324 started up again in the spring of 1998. Our first Scoutmaster unfortunately wasn't able to continue very long, but we really lucked out because there was a retired CPO who came to Fort Sheridan with his wife, who was still a CPO,
Oh,
and he'd been a scout leader for like 20 years, here, there, and everywhere,
okay.
while he was in the military. So he knew a thing or two. I took one arm and twisted this way. Somebody else took the other arm and twisted it that way.
I hope it was
We had a
gently.
new Scoutmaster.
I hope it was gently. You were gentle.
It was okay. He didn't scream too loud.
Ugh.
But
Forceful but gently.
So he got us started
Yes.
for a couple of years before his wife got transferred to Reykjavik.
Oh my goodness.
But in the meantime, we had another Navy guy who became a captain while he was our third Scoutmaster, and he said, we should commemorate the fact that we started this up. Let's do a charter member patch. So this is what we
Wow.
did. I don't know if this will show up. Maybe, maybe not.
Well, wait, just wait. I
Hold-
think
hold
we'll
still,
get
right?
it. Just
Hold very
hang
still.
in there, hang in there, hang in there. He's going to do it.
Okay, our cameraman is
There you go.
leaping to the opportunity.
Wow, look at that.
Can you see it?
And yes, look at that.
There. Okay, so
Wow.
this was our first patch for anybody who had joined the troop in the first 2 years.
Charter member.
Charter member. So that was 1998, 99. What did we do to top that?
Got another one. Okay.
Well, yes.
There you go.
The troop originally was founded in 1925. Now, we couldn't count couldn't count back to 1925 because of the hiatus. That was actually the first question I had for our district director. You know, hey, can we go
You know
back to
what? Yeah.
1925? No, too long. So what we did was we came up with the next patch for 2000 for a big 75th anniversary.
You should hold it on the top so we can see the writing.
There we
you
go. Okay.
There you go. That's
All right,
excellent.
75. So we celebrated 75 years.
Wow.
Okay, it's not we're a 75-year-old troop because in
Wow.
2000 we were a 2-year-old troop with a 75-year history, but we
Wow,
commemorated
look
the
at that.
fact that we had a 75-year history with the next patch.
Now I got
So what
another
did we do
patch.
after that?
Another patch?
Actually, yes.
Actually,
He loves
Actually,
patches.
John,
We
how
did
would
not rehearse this. Okay.
we-
The next one
no rehearsal.
was in 2005, and we came up with a new design for an
Oh, nice.
80-year patch.
Look
Now,
at that.
now this one, actually, the Scouts designed that. We had
Best
a design
in
competition,
show. Look at that.
and we got the top 3 vote getters,
Wow.
and I put them together into one very compressed little diagram here. So we've got the lettering around the edge. We have the state of Illinois coming up
I see it.
from, what is that? What's that blue stuff there?
Lake Michigan.
Michigan?
Yeah. Hey. Now, does this
Cute.
resemble anything that you've seen before?
Yeah.
What is it?
Isn't it the Highland Park logo or whatever it
Yes.
says? Excellent for me.
So we could unlike the Highland Park seal, we could only fit one sailboat in there.
Okay.
But you still have us looking over the top of the bluff, and we have a tree, just like the city of Highland Park.
That's
But
right.
this one was actually commemorates an eagle project, which I'll get into in a minute.
Nice.
One of our scouts had a project to plant Dutch elm-resistant elm trees
Oh,
on the bike path north of the high school. And so this is supposed to be a Dutch elm-resistant elm tree,
we hope so.
as opposed to whatever it is the city has
It was
on their
terrible.
patch.
They took down 12,000.
Yeah, well, this one, I think some of them are still standing on the bike path.
Oh, my.
And so then after
Now we got
that,
another one.
in 2015, we
Okay.
celebrated 90 years. Now, in 2025, I have no doubt that we will have a 100-year celebration.
Isn't that terrific?
Okay. 2 years after we become a 25-year-old troop.
Oh, how terrific.
So we'll have to figure out how to do the patches then, but, I'll do that in an advisory capacity.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So these are
Just wonderful.
the patches that the scouts can put on. Sometimes they put on patches from our summer camp. We have a little a little loop
Yeah,
on it
so
that
we
makes
could
it
hang.
handy for
That's
that.
good.
Some guys are lazy. They cut off the loop and then sew the thing on. They have little.
Hey, maybe they got Velcro. That would be. They didn't have Velcro then.
That's
see?
been done. Yes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
My goodness sakes.
This patch here, this goes back to when I was in Scouts in the early 60s. This is for something that we call the Order of the Arrow, which is like an honorary society,
I see.
like the National Honor Society, except that they actually do things. I was in the National Honor Society. Maybe you were too.
I was too.
Sure.
Yes. I just wanted the nice sashes for graduation.
Yeah, but I mean, I got a little pin, and you get up on the stage, and everybody applauds, and
Shake your hand,
But
okay.
you
Right.
do anything?
That's it. No.
Apparently, they now have a requirement for service hours because my nephew, who just graduated, did not turn his in and did not get his special
Oh.
Well,
Yes. So now they have to do some service work.
50-odd years ago, we just got a pin, and that was it. But to be a member of the Order of the Arrow, there's more to it, and more is expected of you, because these are the
Leaders.
scouts that are,
Yeah.
they're chosen by the scouts themselves
Yeah.
as the best examples
Absolutely,
of
the
scouting.
leaders of America.
Yeah.
Next.
Now, what the guys do up at summer camp, our camp staff, who are, you've seen this.
Oh, yes.
They get some of these old patches, and they get them on eBay, and they're perfect, right? So they're not about to put those through the wash. This has been through the wash on this shirt and other shirts many, many, many times.
So what do they do?
Shows you how well they made those patches,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
But they Velcro them
Yeah.
and take them off before
Well,
they
they
go
wash
to the
it,
laundry.
sure.
And so then they say
Yeah.
pristine,
Yeah,
because
pristine,
they
yeah.
probably paid a few bucks to get it on eBay.
Well, so it doesn't fade. The red usually fades.
Yeah.
John, I'd like you to hold up that newspaper.
Oh, this one.
And the price on that is 15 cents.
Yes, this is the Highland Park News
And that's
from
the Highland Park News.
1958. This was typically what it was back then.
There you be.
And the reason I brought it is because this is a cover picture of a Boy Scout camporee being held at Sunset Park in Highland Park, where they're expecting 1,500 scouts to attend.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, I should say so. We do have camporees for our council. We've got one coming up next fall. I don't know what they project as the attendance.
I don't know, but we sure hope that there are a lot of them out there.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we would get 1,500 for a council-wide event.
Right.
I'm not sure if this was just the Lakeshore District or the whole council that was coming to this one in Sunset Park. This was, as I recall, now this is something our Scoutmasters say.
Do you know who they are on the cover?
I don't have
Does
that
it give-
page. It's
Oh,
probably,
okay.
that looks like, what's his name, Barufi, Mr. Barufi.
Oh, Barufi. Oh,
Yeah.
my God. Really?
Yeah, he was a scout leader.
It's a
And the other guys, it's kind of hard to tell. Nobody I recognized.
It's
Keep
Chick
in
Barufi's
mind
dad.
that this was about 6 months after I joined Boy Scouts. But,
And next year will be 60 years, and we're wondering if we could get 1,500 scouts at Sunset Beach again. Wouldn't that be?
Wouldn't
well,
that be
wonderful.
terrific?
well, that would take some doing.
It would take some doing.
And I don't have the organizational talents.
You know
for
who
that.
does?
Who does?
Bert Tucker.
Okay. All right. Well, Bert is now in charge of the history committee,
Okay.
and I think you had him on one of your shows.
Yeah, I think
Yes, he has with Mike Hale.
Yeah, nice.
Earl's got a
He'd be able to do it.
Yeah. Well, I tell people I wish I had his youthful energy and enthusiasm.
Oh, listen, these guys, they're, he's been in Scouts, is it 60 years, 70?
Oh, yeah.
Closer
Yes.
to 70.
70.
Well, actually, more than 70.
I think he told me almost 75.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, he was on. I know he was on camp staff
Yeah.
in 1954.
I didn't want to speak before, but I'm
Well,
sure
then he
that
would have been
was
about 18 then,
Yeah,
probably.
well,
I think
Sure.
it's,
70.
yeah, it is 70. He just got his Veterans Award for
Look
70
at
years.
that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yep. It's hard to imagine because scouting keeps these guys young. They stay active. You have
Absolutely.
no idea.
Absolutely. This is better than gymnastics,
It
but,
is. It is.
Yeah, well, I mean, you sweat about different things. And my little
know,
brother
but-
was a gymnast.
But it's good sweat. I mean, this
Yeah.
is a good cause. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
I would like to say that your pictures in the book. Now you've got some other pictures down there.
Well, as a matter of fact, I do. You asked me to bring a couple.
I said bring
and
some
I don't
pictures.
do things by halves.
Oh.
This is
Okay.
a couple compared to what he had.
I
Well,
know.
I mean,
Look at
it's-
he's got
Let's
pictures.
see, what do we have here?
I
Oh,
want
here's one.
everyone to see this.
Here's one. Here's one. This one.
Turn to left.
Turn-
There you
turn
go.
this
There
way?
You go. Yeah.
Okay. This one. Okay,
wait,
we
he's
caught our
gonna-
cameraman
He's
off
gonna.
guard.
He's gonna
He
be
needs
there.
a helper
He's gonna.
or something.
Yes. See.
Okay, or maybe
there-
you could get back there.
I could do that.
Yeah,
I could do
okay.
that.
This is at the Park Avenue Beach. I'm guessing about 1947 or 1948. Our Scoutmaster, Harry Skidmore, is there in the hat.
Is that John Skidmore's father, brother, uncle?
John Skidmore. I don't know John Skidmore. There's a Dwight Skidmore.
John Skidmore.
I don't know him. But our Scoutmaster, Harry Skidmore, The guy next to him, standing up, is Russ Meyer, who was an assistant scoutmaster, and about that time he became president of the North Shore Area Council.
Oh.
He also had 2 sons who became Eagle Scouts, although only one of them became an Eagle Scout at the time that Mr. About the same time he did in 1948.
You know what is very exciting
Whitney.
to me,
Yeah.
and no one seems to, well, they're not sharing it because perhaps they don't know it, but you know that those that have joined in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts, they go on to be men, powerful men in industry, and presidents, and people that are know how to deal with other people, and are very apropos to humanity, instead of just making whatever millions they make or whatever. They try to raise the intelligence of society by teaching these young men how to go forward and be human and humane to not only themselves but to others around them, and to be knowledgeable. They have to be knowledgeable.
Well, this is something that we adult leaders really try to encourage, bring along as best we can. One of the things that is different about being an adult leader than being a scout is you get an idea of what this thing is supposed to do. If you're a scout, you're busy doing things and having a great time.
Yeah.
And all of this stuff kind of gets absorbed by osmosis.
Yeah.
The leaders, assuming they know what they do and have been properly trained, are consciously trying to get the program to go in a certain direction so that they do absorb these principles. Now, the culmination is really becoming an Eagle Scout. And one picture I brought, you said bring some more recent ones?
Absolutely.
I just got this one in the mail.
Oh,
you want
wow.
this camera? Okay.
That's good. That's
okay.
good.
I just got this one in the mail a couple weeks ago.
And what's it say?
This is the Eagle Dinner. We have an Eagle Recognition Dinner
nice.
every year, and the council invites all of the guys who have become Eagle Scouts during the past year to come. Now, of course, since it's in April, you have all the ones that are in college are not going to come. And then there's all sorts of other things that our scouts do that interfere, and so this is maybe a third of the ones who became Eagle Scout in our council last year, including 4 from my troop.
Nick, wonderful.
We had one who was in in college. So we get them all together, and we have a big program because it's really important. At this one, we had former Congressman Dold, who's also an Eagle Scout from Kenilworth,
Bob Dold, okay.
as our speaker, and he was great. One of the things he talked about is, what do Eagle Scouts do? Well, they lead. We're looking for people who know how to lead, who learn how to lead through their experience with scouting. And this is something when we have a board review to see, have they done everything? Have they done it right? Have they gotten the message? We talk about this. I do Eagle boards of review frequently. Just did one last weekend for our first 2017 Scout.
Wow.
Somebody else did that one while I was doing 3 other candidates. But we talk about, what is it that you got out of this program? And what are you going to give back? Because you have a long life ahead of you. We try to get them thinking, they're all busy doing final exams.
Oh, sure.
They're doing advanced placement tests.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing sports. They're going on college visits. They're doing all of these things. We want them to step back and reflect on, what is the rest of your life going to be? A lot's been given to you what are you going to give back? And we encourage them to think about that. Granted, they're not going to become scoutmasters right away. They've got a few other things that they've got to do. But we try to plant the seed so that when the time is right.
Sure.
And for me, it took, 29 years, I think, before I got
You were
back
a little
to Highland.
busy with law school.
Well,
and
yeah,
everything.
lots
A
of
little
stuff.
busy.
Lots of stuff, but it took
Life happens, you know. You have life like
exactly.
that.
But
sure.
when the opportunity arose, when we started at Ravinia School, when we got into Cub Scouts, it was ready. Hopefully, these guys do the same thing. Now, we
Terrific.
talk about one of the statistics that gets thrown around is all of the boys who start in Boy Scouts, only 4% become Eagle Scouts. I don't know if anybody's tried to do the figures for our council.
We're closer to 5%.
I would guess
And
higher
even,
based on what I've seen.
We have been higher. I know a couple of years ago, I believe it was 6.5.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good number.
It really
That is
is.
a very good number.
But when you take a look at the number of people that we have who are so committed to this program, and if you look at a city like Kenilworth, for example, the saturation is 70% as far as how many
Really?
Incredible.
kids are scouts. I mean,
Scouts.
it's of the available youth, 70% are scouts there, and it's been consistent.
One of the things I've found has been like that in Kenilworth, like forever. I mean, forever.
They really like. Okay.
It's a community spirit that is really built around scouting. Somebody from Kenilworth recently sent me a report that one of their scouts had done as an Eagle project, which was the history of their troop, Troop 13. It's 104 pages long. Part of it is an appendix listing all of the Eagle Scouts that they've had in the troop, and it's something like 563
Wow.
since 1919. It's staggering.
It
just
is.
staggering. I put together a list for our troop. Scoutmaster number 3, who's the one that got me to do the first patch.
Those patches are very nice.
Well, there's more to it than
They're very
patches,
nice.
but he said, we were at a camporee in Indiana, and a whole bunch of troops were there. And there was a troop that came down, it was in Lafayette, Louisiana, and a troop came down from Fox Lake, Illinois, and they had their troop trailer. They had a big sign on it with their listed Eagle Scouts. It was something like 15 or 18.
Yeah.
Our scoutmaster said, we can do better than that. Put a list together.
Wow.
He challenged me. Well, okay, so I started doing a little research. This is years ago.
Again.
And
We're still.
I bothered the people at the scout office to, turn over their records so I can find stuff and check things out. My scoutmaster, Harry Skidmore, had kept a lot of stuff. And I found troop rosters for our troop that went back to 1940, but not every year. And so I started with those, and I came up with a list of our Eagle Scouts. And so, I don't know if you can, well, anyway, it's a long list.
It's a long list. All
And
right.
we've been maintaining it ever since. And the first one goes back to 1925. You may have earned it with another troop, because that's when we started. But I found everyone I possibly could from all of the troop rosters, and by the time the troop disbanded in 1993, we had 91.
Wow.
We started up our first ones with the new troop in 2001. We're at 116 now.
Holy cow.
We had 5 last year, which was, I
That's
found out, an
terrific.
all-time high.
That's terrific.
So, these are the things that make me think that our troop has got to be doing better than 4% or 5% or 6.5%.
We have a pretty good record in our council.
Yeah.
I can actually, I'll do some research
Okay.
and find out.
I'd
and the
be
next time
curious.
you're talking to Bev, you'll know.
Yeah. Okay.
And-
Instead of talking through my hat, except
Yeah.
I left the hat at home.
Well,
Yeah.
black on white to be able to read it and say, hey, this is what's
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I think what's really so interesting, though, about the Eagle program and the fact that we have so many is that so many people don't realize that when they do their projects, their main project, I mean, everything that they do leads up to this, which is this
Terrific.
incredible project that they do that has nothing to do with scouting. It has to be outside of scouting. It has to be for the community. It has to be something outside
Community
of themselves.
service,
That's
something,
right. And
yeah, community
so
service.
if you look around at like, I'm always stunned in Evanston. I live in Evanston, and I have some friends who are Scouters, and anytime I'm giving them a ride or something like that, they're always like, "Oh, look at that! That's an Eagle project. Oh, see that? That's an Eagle project."
Oh,
and you don't
see?
even
Look at that.
realize,
Your eye always
right?
catches
The
that.
parks.
Yeah.
You know, you see a park bench, you see a fountain in Highland Park, you see something. So many times that is there because an Eagle Scout decided that they needed to make it better or
I
put it
think
there.
I need to step in and make a comment about that, is that people don't know the bench was put there by, the
Right.
tree was planted by. I mean, this is important that people don't take for granted. And by the way, the young men that are doing this take pride in what they're doing. They have to be acknowledged. And I think a little plaque, an engraving, something that says, donated or given by for the betterment or the welfare or good being or whatever by Highland Park, Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, whatever. But put the young man's name. They're entitled. So when somebody sees them on the street, they say, "Wow, I didn't know that you contributed to this, or that was your project, or how did you do that?"
Yeah.
That's
Well,
great,
some
John.
some of our scouts do it. For example, one of our scouts built a big wooden sunscreen over the sandbox area at the Highland Park Community Nursery and Daycare Center because he'd been there, he'd worked there, he volunteered there, and this was his project.
His project,
Got a
yeah.
bunch of scouts together, got the wood, put it up, and he put a plaque on it.
Hello.
Yes. Okay.
Okay,
So we know
so-
Joey Magnani did that, right?
Okay.
And so it's some do it. When we get to the Eagle board, we say, "Did you put a plaque on it?" Oh, well, for example, one of the ones Saturday, a scout from Lake Forest, he'd done a great big mural for their media center at the high school, and we said, "Did you put a plaque on it?" Oh, well, I could do that. Okay, we like them to do that because, number one, it gives them some recognition, and number two, it makes people aware that there's some Boy Scouts out there that are doing good things for the community.
And the community, the community awareness, absolutely agree. We don't have much time left, maybe another 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'll give
but
you one question.
Sure.
No, you'll give me one question.
Okay, but I need to know that this is not a dying fad. This is an ongoing, long-living, and in perpetuity for those coming up in the future. Because, John, we need these young men to succeed in life and in community and to help others who are unable to help themselves.
Well, that's what we try to do, and we do our best. That's part of the Scout Oath. We try to do our best, and the adults do that too. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. As I mentioned, scouting kind of ended in Highland Park when our troop was disbanded in 1993. When I was a scout, there were about 8 troops in town, all over the place, and we were the last one left. I heard about that when we went to a recruitment rally for Cub Scouts. And the Cub Master was saying, and the last scout troop in Highland Park, Troop 324, died a couple of years ago. Well, you can imagine how I felt.
What a hard sound.
After the years I put into the old troop. So I decided that I would do something about that then and there, and an opportunity arose. I hope that future scouts feel the same way, because they're the ones that will have to carry it forward. I'm on the, I'm over the hill and going down fast on the other side, perhaps.
Not so.
No, don't say that.
Not so, don't say that.
I'm only one of me. And
Yep.
the other thing I was thinking to myself is, not only would I ever do something about it if I could, but there's no way I can do it myself.
Well,
So that's why you have to get a team together.
And these young men do grow up, and this perpetuates in organizations my husband, I think, was a Boy Scout, and was, is a Shriner. It was a Mason, the 32nd degree Mason. Now he's in a Shriner. And so this is the meeting of people that create communities with a feeling of loyalty, sanctity, safety, humanity, everything you can, that you know that scouting does. This builds unbelievable character in a human being. And even with the girls, as it was in Girl Scouts, I mean, you think, well, the girls, but I would like to see more. I was Girl Scout leader, Troop 55, Double Nickel, and we had 25 girls in that troop. That was a big troop. I was the only one. Everybody else, I'm the mother of 7 kids. They said, hey, Bev, if you can handle 7 kids, 25 this is not a problem,
Sure,
but
sure.
25 girls, I mean, I had 4 girls of my own, but, but this was, you do a wonderful job, John.
Thank you.
Stephanie, you as well. I mean, pat her on the back. Pats go around all over, recognition, awareness. You're welcome on this program anytime. If you've got a foundation or whatever, your camp jubilee or whatever you call it, please come back and let us know if you need, more, public, awareness. This will be on YouTube. I encourage all of you. There we are down below. Here it is on the YouTube.
Yep.
Please visit us on YouTube. And this is very enthralling. We're residents here in Highland Park 41 years, so we're not newcomers to the show. And I've seen it, grow from what it once was to what it is now. Some people are not exactly super happy, but time moves on.
Yes.
You can't keep. I like the old times better, to tell you the truth. I mean, but time moves, people move, awareness moves, and things change. Like I told you, I'm a keeper. I've got stuff 52 years ago that I hung in my closet, and I said, that's what I met your father with. That's the dress. I can't fit it, but that dress is there. So, anyway, John, we want to thank you and Stephanie for coming this evening. And Stephanie Brooks, this young lady to my right, is a marketing and alumni director, and John Robiquet, who is a committee secretary for Troop 324 here in Highland Park. We appreciate you ever so much, more than you know. Thank you for coming. Shake a hand of a real trooper guy. You're a wonderful guy. Stephanie, you're a wonderful girl. Okay.
So are you.
Thank you. Have a pleasant evening. See you next week on North Shore Live, Cooper's Corner. Good evening.